Wait for Kate.
Yeah, on black screen.
Alright.
Austin, black
Pay
screen.
attention,
Austin, you have to
boy.
move your head.
Austin, oh my God, move your head.
It's too thick. So, my presentation was on NASA's impact on the toilet industry and how one man, Howard Wolowitz, did this almost single-handedly. So, what led to its development? In the mid-2000s, NASA was actually looking for an engineer who could build them a prototype toilet that would be able to flush high-density waste in zero gravity. And so they hired an engineer out of Caltech, Howard Wolowitz, to build this. At first, there were issues with the zero grav because they were building it using parts that were used mostly for conventional Earth toilets. And so they had to custom make parts and test them themselves. And so Howard actually had to get his colleagues to help him create this. And finally, they inverted the disposal because there was an issue with the prototype. We would launch it up, and obviously, if they do this on the space station, that would be a huge problem. And then, like most other NASA inventions, if they sold it to a private sector, and then they found out some of the toilets were shooting waste up into the air, that would be a huge, huge PR disaster, and they wouldn't be able to make money. They'd be paying lawsuits. It would be really bad. So, just in case after they fixed it, they sent Howard up to the International Space Station for maintenance on the toilet if anything did happen. So a little bit about Howard Wolowitz. He went to MIT. He was, what really pushed him to become an engineer was he was bullied, and so because of this, he really thought that he could make something of himself also he grew up in a Jewish household with his mom, so that also sort of pushed him to wanting to become something better, because in his autobiography he talks a lot about what really led to his career with NASA, and he cited being bullied growing up only with his mom. He didn't have a dad, and he said this really inspired him to rise above the opposition. And so he also knew Dr. Sheldon Cooper, who is a very, very, very famous theoretical physicist. He actually worked with Stephen Hawking, and he helped to create the toilet because some of the forces of gravity in space that were affecting the toilet prevented Howard from perfecting it for commercial use. And so before it could actually be sold to the private sector, it was run by Dr. Sheldon Cooper to just ensure that everything was going to work well together, not only on the mechanical side, but also in space, which was his field of knowledge. So the functionality. NASA needed it to stay contained because the problems they had with previous toilets on both the shuttles and the space stations was that sometimes it would leak, sometimes it would explode. And so what they had to do was they first actually looked to what is interesting is they first actually looked to actual toilet companies they looked at Kimberly-Clark, which will come up later. They looked at Gerber and a bunch of other ones, Johnson, and so all these Earth toilets, they didn't get the job done. And so NASA thought, hey, if we create a new toilet that's got advanced suction that can work even in space, not only can we create something that's going to be useful for our astronauts and for our space program, but when we're done with it, we can put it to use in the private sector. We can make a bunch of money back. We can put that towards use of new funding, new research. So it has a magnetic chamber. It does not clog on Earth. That is the main selling point. This is what made it stand out above every other toilet on the market. And so because of this, the company they sold it to, within 10 years they became almost a monopoly. I believe they control 90% of the toilet industry now. It's a funny story. Howard tested it out. This is from a little mini documentary they had on the History Channel. I didn't even know they had it. I pretty enjoyed it. He tested it with his mom's meatloaf. I don't know why the picture is covering that. It just says meat. But if you move the picture, it says meatloaf. I swear to God.
O'Neill, what are you doing?
I'm just going to help him all move it so that we can resize it.
Nope.
Okay, so what they did to like recreate the substance of waste, they actually used this mom's meatloaf, which was kind of funny, you know, because you think of NASA, you think of you know, Howard Wolowitz, you think of like some big budget, they're gonna get like some chemical or like some ridiculous compound. Nope, they just used leftover meatloaf and they tested it and it worked, and they were like, NASA, that was good enough, you know. On average, since its creation, since NASA endorsed this product too, it has made about 2.14 billion per year. Not like toilet sales. The initial toilet sales have gone down because, you know, everybody's got a toilet now. But they have, I believe they have royalties on this. So like every time somebody has to do maintenance on it, every time one gets replaced, every time a part needs to be fixed, NASA's actually making money on that. And so these parts, NASA sold the toilet to Kimberly-Clark, but they also licensed some of the parts to other toilet companies so that they could improve their toilets. And because of this, they make a ton of money a year, like a ton of money a year, $2.14 billion.
We should look this up.
Yes,
This is
but not
serious.
all of it goes back to NASA. Some of it goes back to the toilet companies. I couldn't find like how much NASA's getting.
You're saying $2.14 billion a year can be attributed to annual something to do with the toilet?
I don't know exactly. Some of the numbers were a little bit, but about this, honestly, I think this is a little bit high.
I can do a little more research.
Yeah. But the website that I was looking at, it didn't like have it had the product sales, but I think it was also compounding it with a couple other things like I said, repair, maintenance.
That's okay. No,
Okay.
because listen, just to make it clear, your job was to, how much does this NASA product contribute to the
Right.
economy? So it includes all that. It includes jobs, it
Right.
includes spending.
Because they also needed to mass produce it, so that created jobs in factories.
Spending, when we get into GDP and what that is, you'll be able to identify it better. I'm using this project that you're doing now as like a brain teaser, so to speak, to get you ready for the next chapter that we get into.
Okay.
Because it gets a little more mathematical in class. Nothing heavy, nothing heavy at all. Nothing's addition, subtraction, divisions.
So the impact on the toilet industry and the economy, the Wolowitz zero gravity waste disposal system was sold to the private sector. I believe it was only sold for like a couple, I think it was like $60 million, which wasn't a lot, especially because of how much they've made. But they had like licensing and not copyrights, what's it called? Patents on some of the parts, and that's what's really getting them all the money that they make from this toilet. So I think even though NASA is not traditionally seen as like economically savvy, they saw that, you know, if we sell this at a low price, a lot of people are gonna buy it, and we can make a ton of money on, you know, licensing, on repair parts, all that good stuff. So it's marketed as uncloggable, and obviously unless it's broken, it's gonna do what it says. I mean, it's from NASA. NASA knows what they're doing. The space features made it very sturdy too. I believe it was parts of it were made out of aircraft aluminum, so that it was lightweight and that it could actually fit on the International Space Station, so that it didn't like weigh too much. They sold it to Kimberly-Clark, like I said before, and Kimberly-Clark is not traditionally a toilet manufacturer. I believe they're the middleman for parts, but for the rest of their company they sell like toilet paper, I think they sell like plungers and stuff like that, like just bathroom accessories, and they are basically an economy. I think it's 95% of the market, or monopoly, is dominated by them. Like it's ridiculous. They own so much, and because of that, because they control so much of the toilet industry, NASA knew that if they had, you know, Kimberly-Clark as their main facet of sales, that they'd have the ability to make money back year after year after year. And with the new toilet, yeah, they became basically a monopoly. And so, like, I've got a couple of pictures. Like, that's Howard Wolowitz going up to the space station. That's him on the International Space Station. Pretty interesting. So, why NASA is good? They provide new technology every year. It's cutting edge. It goes into smartphones. It goes into houses. It goes into firefighters. It goes into police officers. And that's just from like public sector. from private industries, they can sell whole new parts, they can sell new materials, that make it so that these companies can make themselves 5 steps above the competition. They can create monopolies, they can disrupt monopolies, they can create jobs, and because they're also selling all these inventions, they're not just giving them away for free, they're making a bunch of money, and it's not so much that they spend less, but they spend not super less, like half as much as the military. They spend like much less than a lot of branches, but they also make money back. So that deficit between the two is so much more, so that it seems like they're spending a lot less, and they are spending less initially too. But because they're making money back, you know, it looks like they're spending less and less and less. It also promotes innovation. You know, people see, oh hey, this Caltech engineer who lived out of his mom's basement, who, you know, grew up without a father, who didn't believe he could do anything, he has become an astronaut. He's been to space. He's created something that's made billions of dollars. He works for NASA. He threw the opening pitch at an Angels game with a robot. He's basically a superstar in the engineering world. And I believe like NASA can use this to sort of like promote themselves. They can get the best engineers, they can get the best physicists, and it really just, you know, like anybody here, it could show them that anything you want to do, you can do it, and NASA's, you know, a good way that you can get it done. That's it.
So, that was not a crappy job. No, actually, JT, that was excellent.
Thank you.
All right, and it was professional.
How much did I miss?
I think that you're at your best with this presentation, which is what I want to